Hey everyone, how's it going? We are back in the garage today, continuing with our G8 headlight project. So last time we got the new headlights, unboxed them, and got the layer of Lamin-x on them to help keep them protected. So that's all great. Today we're gonna put the headlights in the car. So let's get started. So first things first. Headlights on a lot of newer cars are not the easiest thing to replace. In this case, and in a lot of cases, you have to remove the whole bumper cover. Not terribly difficult, just a little bit of annoyance. Overall, it shouldn't be too bad. It shouldn't take too long, but it's not always most fun. While I'm in there, I'm also going to be looking at my washer reservoir. For some reason, it's not holding washer fluid. So we're gonna see once we get in there kind of what's up with that. So first thing you need with any project, whether it's headlights, an exhaust, whatever, something to drink. So we've got some coffee to kind of keep us going. Gonna start with taking the bumper cover off. So we're gonna have to find all of the bolts and nuts and clips and whatever that are holding it on. Always gonna be some along the top radiator support. You're always gonna have some in the fender wells holding everything to the inside of the wheel well. And then you're gonna have some underneath the car kind of holding the splash shield in place. So we're gonna hit those 4 areas. Probably some extra bolts hidden behind some grills or something. We're not gonna really know until we get in there. Let's get started. Okay, so we got all the clips in the wheel well undone, which is nice. That's a good start. We got the bolts and clips along the top, radiator support undone, which is good. So one thing I didn't mention was these ones right up in here. You might be able to see them. Let's see, get you a better view. There's 2 bolts right in there. So these are the bolts that hold the bumper here to the fender. It's not just the wheel liner. There's gonna be usually 1 or 2 bolts or nuts right inside there that help keep everything safe. Those are the ones that suck because they're usually caked in salt, rusted, whatever. Hopefully nothing breaks. That's always a fun one. So we'll get started on those and hopefully those come out nice and smooth. All right, so these are those 2 bolts. Actually came out pretty nice. So we're gonna quick rotate the steering wheel so that I can get the other side out, and then we'll hit those 4 bolts on the bottom, and that should be everything. All right, so got all the bolts out on top, bottom, both sides. Let's give it a shot, see what's holding her in there. Okay, so this car is a little bit different than others I've done. Those 2 bolts that were on the inside of the fender, holding it to the bumper, there was some kind of weird plate there. I wasn't quite sure what to do. Quick Google search tells me that the actual nut that they're screwed into comes out. So you've got the bolt going up into this nut. So you loosen it, take it all the way out if it's rusted like mine were. Hammer it up a little bit. It'll actually pop out of the bracket that's in. That will allow the bumper to slide out of the bracket thing. So wouldn't have known that if I wouldn't have Googled it, but now that I know it, you guys know it. So that makes it a little bit easier. It's actually kind of a nice system. It keeps the bumper aligned very well, so you don't have to worry about any gap or anything between the fender and the bumper. So really kind of cool. Let me get the other couple out and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so that should be it for those. Now if we give it a good tug, it should come undone. Yep. Awesome. So now you can kind of see what I was talking about. See, they're almost keyed. So the way that those end up working is that this guy sits in the top half. Actually, it sits inside the fender, goes through the fender, through this, and then bolts into the bottom. So kind of a nice alignment system to keep the bumper in place. A little bit annoying to get undone, but you know, for all intents and purposes, it's kind of a good system. So. Alright, so turns out I was wrong. Those light bulbs and the harness itself is actually connected to the bumper. There's a plug right here on the bottom side. Undo that plug, the whole light harness or whatever will stay with the bumper, so that makes it a little bit easier than I'm doing 4 connectors. So, alright, so this is where we are at. You can really see why I want new headlights. So this is that connector I was talking about. Just get that guy undone, and then the entire lighting harness for the fog light and these side marker bulbs will actually stay with the bumper. So, and there's those things that I was talking about. Really fun. Here's where the bumper attaches. Where'd they go? So these 2 clips right here. So this is where we're at now. Headlights unbolted. So I'm just gonna slowly pull it out, work it around that bracket, and from there we can get to the harness connector, which is right in here. Let's get the screwdriver. I suppose I could have done this earlier. Pry that guy up. Actually push that connector off. There we go. We have a headlight assembly. Woo! So 1 connector, the rest of the wiring for the headlights actually on the inside. So that's really nice. So now we're gonna get started on this side. Like I said, only 6 bolts to get this one undone, 1 clip, and it'll be out. Okay, so while we were in here, I had one other issue I wanted to kind of look into, and that was my washer tank not holding washer fluid. This is kind of the only time I'm going to be able to see it without, you know, the bumper on. Once I have the bumper on, I've got to take the lower splash shield off to get to it, and that just seems like a hassle. So I just put some fluid in there. It's not leaking at the neck at all, which is good. So the neck, you know, fill there. Comes down, goes in, and it's actually, this box right here is the washer tank. So it's an interesting box. You can see that it is leaking, but thankfully, leaking right at the hose. I felt the hose, there's actually a little bit of a tear on the hose right there. So all I'm gonna do is pull that hose off, trim the end, put it back on, and we should have washer fluid, which is great because that was the other huge annoyance. Being winter with the road salt and everything, it's not fun to drive around with no washer fluid. Alright, so as you can probably tell, the lighting in here is a little bit different. I ended up going and getting dinner, So it's a few hours later now. It's darker outside, so no sunlight coming in. There is a little bit of light in here. So I do have this light and I've got another light plugged in. We do have enough light to finish everything, which is good, but yeah, a little bit different in here. A little bit harder to see in all the cracks and creases. So, you know, it is kind of what it is. So both of the headlights are out. You know, the washer tank is fixed, not leaking anymore, so that's awesome. But, you know, all we've got left now is to put the new headlights in, put the bumper back on, you know, run the light check, make sure everything works, and we're good to go. So let's get started on that. One thing I really wanted to show real quick was the difference between the new headlights and the old ones. There's a pretty big difference between the two. So this is the passenger side headlight. This is the old one. This is the water and stuff I was talking about. This one did have some hazing up at the top as well. And that is the new one with the Lamin-x on it. So as you can see, there is a huge difference between the two. I'm really looking forward to see, you know, what they look like in the car. So we're just gonna do a quick test fit of the bumper, see how it lines up with the headlights. The headlights actually have these, let's see if you can see them. These kind of nuts here at the bottom, and those are actually screws. So these allow you to adjust how the headlight sits, helps you align it a little bit. The annoying thing is that the new ones are a little bit different and obviously not set the same as these ones. So we're gonna throw the bumper on, see how everything sits, adjust it as we need it, and then, you know, we'll do all that before we actually do a final assembly. We'll also test the headlights quick, make sure low beams, high beams, and turn signals all work. So. Alright, so I think I got the headlights to where I kind of like them. Lights work, everything works, so we are going to throw the bumper back on, bolt everything back up, and we should be good to go. So as you can see, much better than the old ones. Like I said, you can see a little bit of kind of the haze and stuff, you know, a little bit dirty, but I am more than happy. Fitment's pretty good, about the same as the OE ones, so, you know, much better than they were. So I'm pretty happy with it. All right, and washer fluid. So that's pretty much a wrap on that. So this is a little bit of a longer video than the other ones, but it's a long process. So I kind of wanted to show you guys kind of as much as I could. Thanks for staying tuned. Hope you enjoyed the video. If there's something that you want to see on this car, you know, let me know. I've got a few things planned, but I'm definitely up for suggestions. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, like it, subscribe, you know, leave a comment, and yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.